some people have opened up their homes, and I read in the newspaper today that John Caudwell is one of them. Entrepreneur, of course. You'll know him as a philanthropist. He's taken in Ukrainian refugees this week with his wife, Modesta. So we called this morning, and I'm very happy to say that we got an answer. Hello, John. How are you?
Yes, good morning. I'm very well, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. So you've taken people in, and they've come to your modest accommodation, which is great fun. They must have been highly surprised. What are the names of? Do you want to name your guests, or will you not?
No, they don't really particularly want the publicity. Also, in spite of doing the article, they did the article to help inspire other wealthy people, or just generally people around the UK to continue with the great help that they're giving.
How are they settling in?
Well, they're devastated at the end of the day because her husband is on the front line. She doesn't know what's going to happen to him. The life that they had that she loved has effectively, for the moment, come to an end. So, yeah, she is devastated. But what we've done is introduced all our friends to her, and various people take her out, invite her over for meals and so on, and just try and make a life as enjoyable as possible whilst in this dreadful refugee state.
Did she fly over with her son, or did she drive?
No, she came from the outskirts of Kiev when the bombing all started, and she could hear all the bombs falling near to her. She was absolutely petrified, escaped with her 4-year-old son, travelling all across in her own car, travelling across the Ukraine into Romania, and then from there managed to travel to the UK. It's an unusual story, really, and she's really trapped between two stools because she wasn't married to an American years ago. That ended in divorce, but she had an American passport, so she was able to flee to the UK on her American passport, but that means now she hasn't got proper refugee status in the UK. She's here on a visa. So, of course, we've got a huge battle now trying to sort this out because she's not entitled to health, to education, or indeed any help, financial help whatsoever. And, of course, the American visa runs out eventually. So we've got quite a battle to try and find a way through this maze to try and give a legitimate status in the UK.
Gosh, I didn't realise that. You're well placed, John, to keep up this good fight. You're well resourced as well, but it does take a great deal of energy. With ours, we've found the bank was particularly difficult to do, and then you've got to download the banking app, which, if the phone is only recognising itself as being still in Mariupol, that's not very helpful. So we had to figure all that out, and I had no idea how to do that. Then there's the biometrics and all the rest of it. But I must say, we have there's 2 local independent Catholic girls' schools, both who reached out. The state schools, in fact, our local county council haven't contacted us, even though it was some 10 days ago that we got this process going. I would love to name these schools, but I'm not going to. But that was a very moving moment. Please do.
The state schools could not take her in because she has not got this legitimate long-term status.
Right.
So we went to our private school our son goes to, spoke to the headmaster there, and little Davy's on a taster day tomorrow to see if he can integrate in properly without causing them undue resource problems. And if he can, then they're going to give him freely a place at the school, and actually all at school. In Stoke, near to Stoke-on-Trent. So I'm delighted with that. That's a wonderful gesture. But we have got all these challenges. We've got the resource to try and find a way through them. But it is particularly difficult. But for the moment, the most important thing that the mother and son are safe and being looked after by us and all our friends join in to try and give them a degree of social life and take them shopping and so on. So all's good for the moment, but with challenges ahead.
I've been amazed at how many good friends have stepped up, either with clothes or financially, to keep them going. And while they've applied for universal credit, that had to be done online. And of course, there's things like national insurance numbers and all the rest of it. And I appreciate your position is different, but also local churches, the Ukrainian community is going to be absolutely rooted where we live. I can feel it, because they're already getting behind each other, and our guest is ready to work, I can tell you.
Yes, yeah. So that's the same here, but of course she's got no legal status, so she can't have a job in the UK at the moment. And so, yeah, the challenges are enormous. But there's so many people in the UK helping these refugees, and it's going to really make a huge difference to them, because, as you know from your experience, they're terrified. They've had the homes ripped apart. Many have lost relatives. Many are in such a desperate state. And it's almost impossible to believe this is happening in this century in Europe, right on our doorsteps. And that actually we've allowed Putin to get away with it historically. We didn't stand up against the Crimean invasion, and we gave him a green flag to say, yeah, you can carry on doing these things.
Yeah, and there was the use of chemical weapons as well. And now, of course, Finland and NATO. Finland and Sweden are trying to join NATO, and apparently we're declaring war on Russia. And I've got all these people texting me, John, telling me that I should be listening to that. It's just, I just can't.
To a point you made earlier on as well. When I put posts out about the evils of this Putin regime and what he's doing, I'm absolutely astonished that there's Western people that absolutely defend him to the hilt and tell me that I'm deluded about this and just listening to propaganda. And I find it completely obscene, the comments of these people.
Yeah, this is all this. Some of them look like they must be bots to me. Computer-generated PR and propaganda, I suppose.
Well, I'd like to think that were the case, because if it was just driven by Putin on a bot basis, it would be somewhat of a consolation.
Yeah. Listen, your guest and son, they've got access to some pretty nice stuff at your place, by the looks of it, John. I've seen a couple of your houses on the telly. That must have come as a bit of a shock to see your place. You've got a tennis court, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. Well, we invited them up on the very first day of interview because they were trapped in London. Not trapped, but they were in a very, very small flat that this very generous person had put them 2 Ukraine families in, and there was no room, and they were sleeping on the kitchen floor, and it was only going to be temporary, just for days. So we brought them straight away up on the train, and I guess when they came down the drive and saw the house, it must have been a heck of a shock for them. And hopefully,
they're enjoying the pool as well, are they?
Well, we've been away most of the time, but we've provided them with the little boy with cycles and so on, and we do whatever we can to make their lives happy or as happy as possible and sustainable.
Yeah. Meantime, back home, there is still such a vast uncertainty for the men in their lives who are serving. Great stuff, John. Regards to your wife as well, Modesta, who is taking no doubt it's a heavy weight to take in some ways. Best regards to you. Thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.